Thanks for being with us here on Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Christina Evans. Let's continue on with some of this week's top stories. And now we're going to be turning to an entertainment headline. I want to put this up on your screen as well. It's bringing entertainment into the real world for many folks as the English singer, Jessie J, announced that she had been diagnosed with breast cancer. She also went on to say that she's going to be retreating a bit from the spotlight as she's now undergoing treatment. To talk a bit more about this, I want to bring into the conversation now Dr. Virginia Kaklamani. Doctor, thanks so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you for having me.
Well, we know that you're an expert in the area of breast cancer, and it's going to be a very scary time for anyone who hears those words from their doctor. I have breast cancer. So with, again, Jessie J now making this announcement, how important is going to get those regular checkups for women out there?
Well, it's extremely important, but don't forget, she, I think, is 37 years old. So that's younger than the age that we typically recommend for mammograms. And why it's so important for women to understand their breast health, understand their risk, understand their family history, talk to their physicians about potentially individualized breast cancer screening.
And so it's been very shocking for the singer. She said it herself. She said she was taking a step back, but it's something she wanted to put out there as well to get the conversation going. So when you see folks like her of a higher status out there who have a voice, making sure that they're able to inform others, like you said, she's young, 37, talking about this. How important is it that this conversation continues to go on?
It's extremely important. We are progressing in the treatment of breast cancer. We're progressing in diagnosing it early. Unfortunately, still 40,000 women in the United States die of breast cancer every year. But this number is decreasing because of our treatments, because of our prevention. So it's extremely important that women not be afraid, but really seek help if they have something that they feel is not normal in their breasts. And this will improve our chance for cure.
And so let's take it out of Jessie J for just a moment and the average woman who's out there, but also men too. Can you speak a little bit more about that? Because people often think that breast cancer only affects women, even though it affects them at a higher rate. Speak about the other parts, men as well, who also could be enduring this.
Absolutely. So 1 in 100 breast cancers is a male breast cancer. So obviously rare, but definitely not unheard of. We have a lot of breast cancer patients that are male, and they get treated around pretty similarly to how women do. So again, for a man, if you do see something, if you do feel something in your breast, don't ignore it. It may potentially be something that we need to look at.
Dr. Kaklamani, let's talk about it a little bit more, though, for folks at home. What should they be looking out for? How should they be going about even testing themselves before deciding to go see a doctor?
So first of all, there's screening guidelines, and I know that we've made it confusing in the past few years because different societies have different guidelines, but anywhere between the age of 40 to 45, we should start screening for breast cancer at every 1 or 2 years. Again, a lot of this depends on what our risk is, understanding our family history and having a discussion with our physician. So besides that, if you do notice that your breast is just not looking or feeling the way it did before, please do go and seek help from your physician. We don't recommend self-breast exams anymore, mostly because we are not taught how to do them. And so a lot of women will feel something that's not really important that will lead to a lot more imaging, a lot more biopsies potentially. But again, don't ignore any signs that your breasts just don't feel or look the way they used to before.
And so again, when we're continuing to think about our health in general, are there any preventative measures that someone should be taking? I also want to touch on after that a little bit of family history.
Absolutely. So we do have medications such as tamoxifen that we can give to women that have a higher risk of developing breast cancer. We know that tamoxifen decreases the risk of breast cancer. And obviously, lifestyle is also extremely important. Maintaining a healthy weight and exercising independently decrease the risk of developing breast cancer.
And so again, we touched on it a bit earlier. Talking about family history, how does that play a role in a person's, again, how they go about their life, living their life, and the risks that they might have for breast cancer?
So we know that there's certain genes that increase the risk of breast cancer. The most common ones are BRCA1 and BRCA2. These genes, in most cases, are associated with a family history of early onset breast cancer, potentially ovarian cancer. So understanding that will lead to women having genetic testing, hopefully before they're diagnosed with breast cancer. Some women may have somebody in their family that has these mutations, these changes in the genes. And so then they need to go and have genetic testing themselves to see if they carry those changes. And that again can help prevent the risk of getting breast cancer by potentially having bilateral mastectomies or taking tamoxifen.
And Dr. Kakamani, before I let you go, I'd like to take just a second here. You talked about the advances that are being made in breast cancer and helping more and more people survive that diagnosis. Can you talk a little bit more about the industry, where you've seen things going?
So we have a lot more new drugs. We are approving 2 to 3 new drugs a year for breast cancer. Most recently, our conference, which took place last week, we had several pivotal trials that are going to change how we treat breast cancer. And so this will help us cure more women. We're using immune therapy, which basically empowers our immune system to fight the breast cancer. We're using these drugs that are called antibody drug conjugates, where there's an antibody, but it has a chemotherapy on it. And all of these step by step are going to help us in curing breast cancer in more and more women.
And we certainly appreciate you for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. Again, Dr. Kaklamani helping us to understand a little bit more about breast cancer. Of course, the singer Jessie J coming out with her diagnosis to spread awareness, as she said. We appreciate you for joining us.
Thank you.